All right. Thank you, Jenny. So I served 27 years in the Air Force, and I spent 16 of those years as a staff geek, and I spent 9 of those years in joint. So strategy was my bread and butter, because strategy is great. However, when you're a small business owner, how do you do strategy? What does that mean? How does that help you to coordinate and orchestrate? And what I hear most often from small business owners that I work with is, I'm so overwhelmed. I love what I do, but this business side is killing me. There's this administrative stuff. There's people I need to work with. There's coordination. There's all these things that have to go on in order to run my business. And how many of you have ever read the book, The E-Myth Revisited, or heard of it? A couple of people have read E-Myth Revisited. That's one of the books that I read when I started out in business, and it changed the game for me in terms of how do you frame, organize, structure, and do those things that you need to do to be successful in business. So strategy and organization is my bread and butter. It's what I do. It's what I bring to the small business owner who doesn't have people yet and who doesn't have resources yet. So Colleen is handing out this survey, and we're going to walk down through that a little bit. My program is the Purposefully Profitable Program, just because of what Ron was talking about over there, based on the question that Jenny asked, which is, if you're not profiting in your business, if you're not generating revenue in your business, you're doing the wrong things. We're in business to make money. Business is a value for value exchange. It's benefit delivered for compensation received. And if you're delivering value and getting nothing in return, you're a philanthropist. And there's no problem with that. Just understand that you may be a business masquerading as a charity if you're not getting any compensation for what you're delivering. The idea behind this survey is purposeful intent. When someone asks you a question about what you do, how you do it, where you are, what you need, or how can I help, you have to have answers to those questions. And if you don't, then you've lost an opportunity. You've missed a tremendous opportunity. My definition for strategy is, how do you get from where you are to where you want to be? No more complicated than that. We can make strategy incredibly complicated by talking about a SWOT analysis and all this other stuff. But as a small business owner, simply think about, how do I get from where I am to where I want to be? So the first thing you have to understand is, where do I want to be? So the first question on the survey is, what does success look like for your company? Have you thought about that? How much money do you want your company to generate on an annual basis? How many people do you want to have in your company? How large do you want your company to be? Some people don't want any employees. I talked to this one company that said, we set our goal to be a $1 billion company with, I think he said 500,000 employees, something like that. It was a pretty big number. They set that goal, and then they just marched towards that goal. You may not have such big goals. You may say, I just want to be a company that generates $1 million in annual revenue so that I can take home $150,000 in my pocket. If you haven't thought about those things, that's a challenge. So the first question on this is, what does success look like for your business in terms of monthly income? You may want to sell the company in 3 to 7 years. You may want to build the company as legacy. I call those exit strategies. I talk about 3 ways to get out of business: sell, scale, or fail. If you haven't decided whether you're going to sell your business and build for that, whether you're going to scale your business as a legacy that's going to stay in your family, you're going to ultimately fail because you're not going to be prepared. Second question, how long do you plan to keep the company? Some folks in here, when they think about government contracting, it's like, well, I'm just going to get 2 or 3 contracts. I'm going to make some money. It doesn't work that way. This is a long process, and you have to be invested in that process. So how long are you going to keep your company? What is your long-term plan? So now once you can see, okay, this is where I want to be. You outline where you want to be. Then the next question is a progression question. And as you've mapped out where you are to where you want to be, you can then identify the obstacles that are standing in your way. So is an obstacle personal development? You may not be ready to be in business. When I retired from the military in 2009, and I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I started down that path, I very quickly realized I did not know enough about business to jump into the government contracting pool. I decided to go and purchase a franchise, and I built a franchise company for 3 years as a way of getting the experience I needed in business, because you can't do business with the government until you can do business. So I got my experience by building under somebody else's umbrella. So I needed some personal development. You may need product development. I had some skills, talents, and abilities in terms of strategy and development, and I was wondering, why was nobody calling me to contract me for my services until I realized I had no product. I just had skill, but I had no way for them to purchase anything from me. So I wrote a book. I created a coaching package where I had a deliverable with a price, and then we could have a conversation about doing business together. So you may have to do some product development and, of course, business development. How are you selling? The next question, what relationships? I was just looking at Ashley Haas, chapter 9 in Game Changers for Government Contractors, and she talks about relationships in there. Relationships is what everything is built on. So what types of relationships do you need? Do you need a mentor? Do you need a partner? What do you need at this particular point in time? Which activities currently occupy most of your time? I know you've heard the term this weekend, the rabbit hole. It is so easy in this environment to go down the rabbit hole. There are so many people doing so many things and offering so many services, and you don't know which one. You'll see services that are masquerading as free services, and then when you dig into it, you find out they're charging a lot of money for those things to do something that you can do yourself for free. And you start questioning yourself, and this fear of missing out, and I need to know all these different things. Well, you don't really. So you have to kind of decide, where am I? What am I doing? How is it contributing? And is it helping me progress from where I am to where I want to be? So that's question number 5. Where are you spending most of your time? Are you spending it on research? Are you spending it on selling? Are you spending it on administrative? Administrative is killing some of these companies because it's taking so much of your time to get the paperwork done that you can't do all the things you need to do to make money. Are you building relationships? Are you spending your time on some type of operations or delivery of service? Are you doing something else? You have to be purposeful and intentional and know why you're doing what you're doing, and that's very effective when you have a strategy that you've laid out. And so the last section there is, what are your top goals? I believe in targets. It's much easier to hit a target that you've set, that you can see, that has meaningfulness for you, than it is to just run day to day, doing what you think are the most important, significant, or urgent things. If you have a target, you can say, this is where I'm trying to get to. You can measure it. You can make sure that you are adjusting your activities so that you're moving forward. And that's the intent behind question 6. What is your top goal in the next 30 days? What do you need to accomplish? What do you need to accomplish in the next 90 days? I have something that I call a 90-day sprint. We're going to do a 90-day sprint. We're going to set this target, and in the next 90 days, we're going to lay out what has to happen to get from where you are to where you want to be in the next 90 days, and that's all you're going to focus on. Let everything else go. You know that it's leading you to your ultimate desired outcome at the end of the day, so let's just focus on these things. And then where do you want to be in a year? If you're comfortable, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? That's all up to you. You have to be in control of what you do. You have to be in control of how you do it. So this is a survey that you can use for your benefit. You can use it to talk to people in your company, in your organization. But I think my time is up. Hopefully this is helpful, and it helps you go out there and build some tremendously profitable businesses.